Welcome to the Whiskey and Wisdom Podcast, coming to you from the Cargo District Recording Studios in Wilmington, North Carolina, where we discuss the most fascinating topics of life. I'm Tyler Yaw with my co-host, Chris Keller, and each week we interview a special guest to learn how they acquired their wisdom over a glass of whiskey. So, sit back, pour yourself a glass, and enjoy Whiskey and Wisdom.
And this week we bring on HP FANGS, an art teacher and a local art person.
Very specific. Local art person.
I am a person, indeed, who's local, who does art stuff.
Pretty accurate.
Yeah, I was about to say. So, nail on the head.
There you go.
But before we get into any further with that, Chris, what are we sipping on today?
So this week, HP picked out the Woodford Reserve Double Oaked Kentucky Straight Bourbon Whiskey.
Woodford is one of my favorites.
It is. It's about there at the top for me.
Yeah.
About there at the top.
This one, I've never seen this bottle before. I have the actual just traditional reserve at the house, and apparently the Double Oak, they take the reserve, pull it out, add a little bit, and then put it back into a brand new oak barrel, and then let it sit again for a little bit. It kind of adds more flavor, I guess. The body on this one is actually kind of thick, so it's kind of nice. Let's take it out.
Yeah.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Cheers. You know, like, it's really wild because as an adult, that was probably poor form for me to take a sip while I'm talking. But as an adult, right, like I associate barrels with whiskey automatically.
Yes.
Yeah.
As a kid, I associated barrels with being naked and needing to find clothing.
Right.
Because that's all that happened in cartoons.
Exactly.
I never thought about that.
I think about it all the time. It's exactly where my brain goes when I see a barrel or I hear the word barrel. I'm like, love me some whiskey, but also, you can't find your clothes.
Yes. I didn't think of whiskey, though. I always thought it was like beer for some reason.
No. I always think of whiskey now, but to your point, I think of like barrel-o monkeys.
That's a good one, too. Donkey Kong.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I'm surprised that didn't jump in my brain. Ooh, I'm surprised I haven't drawn that yet. So thanks for that part.
There you go.
Nice.
Thanks.
Yeah. I can't wait to see that now.
Thank you.
Get a whole series. So, HP, I know you from social media and from my local art collection in my house. And I'm sure some people do know you, but give us an introduction.
I do know a couple of people. I like to believe I have friends. They're not like talking about, no, I don't know. I was using words. Nah, man, like, my name is HP FANGS, and that's a name that I choose to be called. I am an art teacher. I'm a middle school art teacher, and I will say that it's hella dope to enjoy your job. Like, I never have gone into work like, oh, I gotta do this bull crap. And then after being an art teacher, I immediately go home and just switch into local art person because I'm at school all day and I'm drawing. And then, like, I have a head like a pinball machine. It's bing, 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 bing all the time. So then I go home and then I spend entirely too many hours drawing or trying to sketch out new ideas for stuff.
Yeah.
That's actually kind of cool.
That's really sweet. Yeah.
Until you realize you don't get enough sleep and got to be up in the morning to teach middle schoolers.
Right. So I'm going to steal Chris's random thoughts for the day for this one because I've always wondered about especially elementary and middle school art teachers because I was horrible at art and I never really understood it myself because I wasn't good at it.
Yeah.
Being a middle school art teacher, what are you trying to convey to the students? Because I know you're going to have someone like me that's like, here's my stick figure. Just give me an A.
So, all right. So for that story, right? Just that in general, my first conversation with students, I teach 6th, 7th, and 8th. My first conversation with students is stick people are not allowed in my classroom. I make violent descriptions of, like, I give them an example where, like, see this stick person? I need 3 people to show me or to draw me a stick person. And then I crumble up and I punt kick it. and like the joke in my class now is like I'm a stickophobe. Mm-hmm. So like every now and then I'll have 6th graders like sneak into my classroom and they'll like take like the whiteboard markers and they'll like draw stick people and go stick lives matter. Or like I'll be at my desk and I open my drawer because I need like a stapler or other teacher stuff. And then I'll see like Post-it notes full of stick people. it's an entire running gag. But so no stick people in my classroom. And the idea behind that is because I want them to be beyond that. I want them to think beyond that, right? So I spend my first week's lessons are how to color and how to draw shapes, which sounds wildly elementary. Like every time I have to present it, I feel like I'm talking to them like a kindergartner, and they feel like they're about to get a kindergarten lesson. But the reality is, like, my whole thing as a professional artist is color, is the importance of color, and there are methods of how to color correctly versus just knowing how to stay inside the lines.
Yeah.
But yeah, other than that, man, like I don't force my students into having to figure out like conceptions and theory and researching like all of the founding fathers of art because that's boring. It was boring when I was in school. I let the high school art teacher deal with that. Like I try to make sure they know art is fun. Like my most recent project, I had the kids make flash sheets so we could open our own tattoo parlor. Well, because I have like most of my tattoos are all drawn by my students.
Oh, wow.
We do another project where I have them make Muppets. So we talk about Jim Henson and then the process of making a Muppet. And now you have to Muppetize yourself. Wow. So now you have to make a Muppet. I don't know. I try to find the most ridiculous, fun projects to keep the class like.
Yeah.
I would have had so much more fun in art class if that's kind of what I was learning. Because before they were like, oh, here, draw this like field of flowers. And that was not down my alley. There was one time, this is the only thing I remember from my art thing, and it's because I was being ridiculous and so was the teacher. So I like drew like this flower and I thought I did a decent job at it because I actually tried. And then I put clouds in the sky and then colored the clouds blue. And she came up to me and she was like, when's the last time you saw a blue cloud? I was like, well, maybe the rest of the sky was clouds and that was just a part of the sky you could see through the clouds. And she was like, no, redo it. There's no blue clouds.
See, yeah, like my students have complete creative control in the classroom. There's certain criteria that I ask for them to meet in a project, but because I had to do the same thing, right? I had to draw like porcelain dogs sitting on doilies. That was ridiculous. It was boring. My kids have complete creative control. So we did this pointillism piece, and I don't know how familiar you guys are with pointillism. So this guy, George Thoreau, he's hella old. I don't know. Let's call him 1,000 years old. But he kind of was the purveyor of this style of art where it's just dots.
Okay.
Just a series of dots. That's how you color. It is the most tedious project ever. But it teaches you great patience. It gives you an opportunity to learn how to use color and lines in a different way. I had one student she did a close-up of a guy's face that had like the big square sunglasses, tape in the middle, and a nose just dripping snot.
All in pointillism?
All in pointillism.
Wow.
And that's the difference between like when I had to do it and I'm drawing like a vase or vase or depending on your tax bracket to figure out how you want to say it. When I had to do it, that project sucked.
Yeah.
But if I got to do like something ridiculous, oh man, I would have had a time with it.
Yeah.
So that's the most important thing in my classroom. Like, because there are people who don't know how to draw. Right. And there's people that just don't like art. And that's fine, and I understand that. So, like as a teacher, my job is to figure out, all right, so how do I pull you in? Whether you do any art outside of this classroom or not, how am I going to get you to enjoy the setting that you are currently in, knowing that you're going to get graded?
Yeah.
But I teach art.
Yeah. Which is funny because surprisingly enough, we've had more teachers on this podcast. Almost as much whiskey as we've had teachers.
Yeah.
I support that.
Yeah. I mean, teachers drink too.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know how you couldn't, to be honest.
I don't understand that. But outside of being a teacher, you're an artist.
Yeah.
And that's how I found you, because I didn't know you were a teacher. I was just scrolling through because I'm a low-key geek, I guess. So, like, I have friends
Depends
who
on who knows you.
Yeah. Like I have friends who own Memory Lane comic shop.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
Go ahead. Sorry.
And like, I love those guys. And so, I got to support local. So I go down there and I walk in and I'm like, what is this silly looking piece of art? And I say silly because it is totally different than what I'm used to seeing.
Fair.
And it was a local Cape Fear comic. And on the front of it was one of HP's works.
Yeah. Well, you're talking about
Tales of the Cape Fear?
Yeah. So I did the variant cover. So, right, if we're
Yes.
talking about what geeks are, because I'm 100% one, right? So traditionally comic books, like an artist who like illustrated in, anyway. But there's like cover A, which is the cover. And then there's like variant covers. And I did the limited run of the variant covers, which for me is even doper, right?
Yeah.
Because like when I read comics and like a title comes out, I want the variant cover.
Right.
Because that's the one that's going to not be impressed later on.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah.
That's the one no one else is going to have.
Yeah, exactly.
But I saw that. I'm like, that's kind of cool. So I picked it up and they were telling me about him. So I looked him up and then I went around the corner and then he had a whole wall of just artwork. And I'm like, this is kind of cool. Like if you look at his work, HP Fangs, it's funny because the Fangs plays into your artwork, correct?
100%, yeah.
So my question is, did the Fangs come first or did the name show up or was the artwork first?
So what it was first, the teeth have always been there, right? So when I was a kid, my teeth were wild big, way too big for my face. These were just unnatural, like why my freaking mouth bones look like that. And so I had to get like braces. I had to get the whole rubber band joints. I had the headgear. Oh man, I was a facial wreck. I had to get teeth filed down, like literally.
Ooh.
Like I had to get my canines filed down.
Yeah.
So part of Fangs.
That
Because they
makes
were like
sense.
cutting my lip.
I see.
So when you're a kid and like you're roasting, you're snapping on, cause they always went for the teeth. Always went for the teeth. So when people were like, "Hey, can you sign my yearbook? See you next summer," I would just draw big teeth on her face. I would like whoever's yearbook it was, I just drew big teeth on her face, and that just kind of stuck. And every time I was drawing, I would always draw like big smiles, big teeth. But there was a long break when I was doing music, so like art was kind of secondary. I wasn't even an artist. I was a music person. I was a local music person. So I did music and had a really good run with that. I was putting albums, yada yada, and then we wanted to build a family. I had a daughter coming up. I didn't want to be a rapper when she came out. Like, not that I'm embarrassed of any of my music. Like, my music and my art they're the same thing. Like, it's all ridiculous, silly scenarios and songs. I just didn't want that, like, being on tour, like, drinking. I wanted something different. Like, if I draw, I can, like, we can make books together. We can draw together. So I had gotten asked to illustrate this children's book. And the book is called Daddy, I Don't Like That. It's about a kid who doesn't want vegetables. So we do the book, and at the time, my Instagram account is Butt Biters because it's just things biting other things' butts. It was like the Mario plant biting Mario's butt, Kermit biting Miss Piggy's butt, the tortoise in the hair, the tortoise biting the rabbit's butt. Just that's all it was. Literally, go back to my Instagram. That's all it was. It was just things biting other things' butts. And so I was Butt Biters, and so we do this children's book, and we get like a book tour from Barnes and Noble.
Oh wow!
So now, like, I'm out here, and like I'm at this point, I'm not an artist, or I don't deserve to be called an artist. I just did this thing for some guy who saw my work. Well, not just some guy. He actually went to high school with me, but we never talked in high school, never. So I get parents asking me about the illustrations, like, "Hey, how can I find you? Like, do you do more work?" I'm like, "Butt Biters." Like, what? Yeah, you can find me on Butt Biters. So then I was like, man, it's too ridiculous. And I was starting to get work.
Yeah.
So I had to reset what I was doing because I enjoy the stupidity.
Yeah.
But also, like, man, I have opportunity here. So it went from Butt Biters to like HP Fangs HP Haji Pajamas being my rap name. Okay. And then just like knowing that I always do teeth and just my issues with my own teeth and the fact that I actually had fangs.
Yeah.
So I was like, all right, bet HP fangs. And now
that's where
I'm
we're
back
at.
to doing butts.
Full circle.
Yep, full circle. Full circle.
Because you mentioned he's back to doing butts.
Yeah.
I think it's funny because I've been following him on social media and I've seen like his artwork and like it'll go from the random like traditional like fang work and then it'll do like a butt photo. Like he had a whole, didn't you have a series that you released recently?
A butt series?
Thanksgiving.
Oh, turkey butts.
Yes.
Oh.
Yes.
So listen, man, art has to be fun. If I don't enjoy it, I don't like doing things I don't enjoy.
Yeah.
And like and that's why I work well with middle school students because I think I'm still a 12-year-old. And it's just butt. Right? Like how do you not hear that word and laugh?
It's worked every time so far.
So in Thanksgiving, I'm really thankful to people who even are looking at my work like beyond thankful because what?
Yeah.
I draw stupid stuff. So every now and then I like to be able to do things where I can just give people art. Like here it is. And so I did this series of turkey butts and it was just turkeys with butts, but like one had like a butt life tattoo and a Tupac do-rag. One turkey butt was farting. Another turkey butt had a butt tattoo that said "I love gravy." Just random turkey butts because why not?
Because it's funny.
Yeah. It makes me laugh. I don't know if it makes any other people laugh, but for me, when I'm drawing, I am in hysterics. And then I can't believe the stuff. I don't know. It's like I just can't believe I get away with it.
Yeah.
Right.
Like I do it and I get away with it.
It's not bad stuff. It's funny. Like, and that's why I think so many people follow you and buy your stuff because it is funny and you got to be lighthearted.
Yeah. I mean, like I said, fun first. All the time. Fun first. Have fun forever. Fun first. Giggle or die.
I love that.
Giggle or die.
That's going to be the title of this episode. Giggle or die.
Well, bringing it back, because we did just mention butts again. There is, so I've had friends in the art industry for a while, which I still don't understand how I've known people in the art world, but our local art museum, Cameron Art Museum, the show, is it every year, every couple of years?
This is only their second one. So every 4 years. And like in talking to the curator and in talking to the museum, it's just, and hopefully I'm not speaking out of turn.
Yeah.
But this is how I understood it as it was told to me. It's a lot.
I believe it.
It's like I saw the process firsthand.
Yeah.
The line for people wanting to submit artwork was from the door, Cameron, wrapped all the way back to Independence.
Wow.
Like people couldn't even start coming in the door until like 5, and people were lined up at like 10 and 11.
Dang.
And then there's this, there's all these stations that artists have to go through. It was freaking glorious. I loved it, but it was a madhouse.
Yeah.
So I imagine when talking to Bob that like we did one, it was real successful, and then because they're a real museum and other installations have to be there. Like they just did this like not wild crazy, but it was just a really dope event with the Boundless with Stephen Hayes. Like Stephen Hayes, look him up. And phenomenal, but he just did the Boundless installation there. And then so it happens. I think they want to do it more often, but sort of like Art Olympics, like every 4 years.
Yeah. I knew it had happened. I didn't realize it was only a second one. But that makes sense because things got all shifted around. But I knew a girl back in the day and she worked at CAM and she had to work that event when they brought it in. I was like, oh, that's a lot of artwork.
Yeah, that's what I did. I was hanging art from like 3. Well, I was there from like 2 or 3, but hanging artwork from about like 4 or 5 until like 1 o'clock in the morning.
Wow.
And then there was like Bob, who was running it, was there 48 hours hanging artwork. Like it was, he didn't sleep.
Yeah.
I mean, it was nuts.
It's kind of cool though, because like people from the state of North Carolina can bring in their artwork and it'll get looked at, and then they'll figure out, I guess, how it makes sense in the installation. And it's only there for a couple months. Is it 2 months?
September 18th, but that's a lot.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Like if you're not I don't know, because all these people are professional artists. I think. I don't know. Because that's a different conversation, right? Artists versus professional artists. But all of these people were dope.
Yeah.
Dope. And, that may be your one shot to have a piece in a museum. And as an artist, that's, that's the biggest trophy. That's, man, I wish I knew more about basketball. But that's your, like, Final Four championship game.
Yeah.
Right? Like, you walk away victorious, and you have that for the rest of your life. My work was in a museum. Holy crap. Right?
It's crazy.
Yeah. Yeah, it was nuts.
And it's funny because I went to the last one, and it's the differences of artwork. Because usually in installation, if you've ever seen it, it's all from one artist and it's all similar pieces. In the state of the
art,
thank you, is different because it's all different artists. So there's so much crazy different artwork. You get like these really cool sculptures. You get like nice like art, like hand painted stuff on canvas and whatnot. And every once in a while you get something kind of funny. And one of those funny pieces is HP's. He went back, because like I said, we were talking about butts. He went back and did a classic butt portrait, I guess.
All right. Yeah, man. All right. So when I asked to do this, like in my head, right, because this is your opus. Right? I may never have a piece in a museum again, ever. And at first I was like, all right, let me like really be an artist. Let me explore all the facets of my talents or my gift and really put together a piece worthy to be in the museum. And then as that's like running laps in my head, I was like, or I could draw a butt. Or I could like live the rest of my life knowing that I put a farting butt in a museum. Yes. And then it was a no-brainer. I'm doing the butt. There's going to be all of this phenomenal, great technical work that's on display, and I'm going to do a butt. And I did it. I did it, and the reception of it, I am still trying to figure out. I walked into Cam, and I was holding the piece. And so a part of State of the Art is all these artists get to meet with a curator from the top national museums like in the country. And they get an opportunity to sit down, talk, discuss. Well, I just walked in with mine. And Maya Nuku, hopefully I'm saying that correct, is the curator for the Met. So she sees my piece, and at first, she looked at it and laughed, whatever, and then asked, what was the inspiration? And then she was like, is it, is this commentary on the past pandemic and how, like, the gases, whatever. And then I was like, nah, yo, it's a butt. Yo, it's a butt and it's farting. There is nothing else behind this. And then, like, her response was, oh, thank God. and then we had a real conversation about art. And here's this woman who's curator for one of the country's best museums. And she's talking to me about, like, all these other, I'm trying to, because I don't want to, like, misquote her or say anything that's going to, like, get her in trouble if people listen to this. But she talks about the difference between, like, fun art and fine art. And some of the things that she was saying about fine art, I was like, whoa, this is nuts. And, she was like, she meets all these artists and they're like cloaked in pretension. And and she was like, it's good to see people who enjoy what they do.
Yeah.
Right. And then she's like taking pictures with me. She's sending pictures of my butt to her son. and I can, well, it's not like we're best friends high-fiving, sitting on the swings and singing like camp songs.
Right.
But I have this cemented relationship with the curator for the Met.
That's
because
amazing.
I drew a butt.
Yeah.
And then like I went to the opening. I had somebody ask to buy the butt like that day.
Wow.
If they could buy it. I'll probably never sell that piece. I will never sell that piece.
I probably wouldn't either.
And if I do, like I'm doing art money.
Yeah.
$1 billion. But so I went to the opening yesterday and I went with one of my friends and we were just on the opposite ends, like looking at art and, you know, doing things like, I can notice different. I don't know. You know, some people say. And so this couple comes to me and I see him looking and they like stop me and they're like, hey, are you the butt guy? And I was like, yeah, I'm the butt guy. So then I get into this long conversation with them. We go, they want to take pictures of me with the butt. I get stopped again about the butt. I talked to, we were about to leave and somebody stopped me and they were like, they were just complimenting the butt. And then they were talking about because this person was an artist as well, but they're like more like an installation artist. So they work with like metals and all this other stuff. And they were like, so me and my husband are going to Burning Man. And I was just wondering, like, I just think it would be so cool if I did your butt, if I just built this butt.
Installation.
Yeah, that's farting and like have a smoke machine blowing out of the butt. Playing Nickelback. Man, I like it's funny, right? It's funny. But I'm still trying to figure it out because it's mad humbling. Because in my head, I did this piece not as a joke, but because I was gonna do a technical art piece at first, and then I was like, no, I'm going to do what I enjoy.
Yeah.
So I do this thing that I enjoy that in no way is even comparable to all the amazing work that's there. But like the reception of it has been nonstop. Like it's been nonstop. And I just don't think in terms of like just creating art and what my art has done. So I did the Black Lives Do Matter installation.
Yes.
Right? And that was probably the most meaningful artwork that I'm ever going to produce.
Yeah.
But the butt is probably the best. It'll probably be my best piece, just in terms of like who met the art, where the art was placed. Like the fact that somebody in Burning Man is gonna have my piece as an installation, farting, playing Nickelback. I can't fathom it, and I laugh about it every time I think about it because it's something that makes you feel real good. I know we're talking and it's silly, but honestly, man, like...
No, that's super amazing because you're just being truly true to yourself and it paid off.
Yeah.
It's so validating. It's so validating what that conversation I had with the curator. The most artsy thing I'd ever heard in my life, right? I'm talking to this curator and as we're just talking and we're having a conversation, she goes, 22 lines. I was like, what? She's like, you did this piece in 22 lines. And in 22 lines, you've said more than what most artists are saying, like, and, you know.
Thousands.
But she was like, 22 lines.
Wow.
And I had no idea. I mean, I'm not stupid, so I knew what she was talking about. But, like, I never thought to look at art like that. So she sat and she, like, counted the lines. Right? Like she counted every line that was in the piece and she was like 22 lines. That's amazing. And I can't tell you how validating that is.
Yeah.
Like, cause for me, I feel like it's totally okay to just there's no rules. There's no rules in art. No. Like, and I'm going to take that back to my students. Like, yo, whatever you do it. Whatever you feel like doing, do it. There's nothing I can even tell you as your art teacher about your work. Right? Like, as long as you are doing the project, whatever you turn in, that's your work. It's not for me. I mean, it is for me to criticize it. Literally, that's my job.
Right.
But I'm like, if you put you into it, right? If you're like an emo kid that just loves like My Chemical Romance and you're not the greatest artist, but I could see the sadness in your work.
Yes.
Yeah.
I can see the Gerard way in your work. Then that's an A. That's an easy A.
Yeah.
You ain't got to impress me. You got to impress you. Right?
Yeah.
And I know I'm going off on a tangent, but I've never, my artistic eyes have just never been open like that. You did this. This is perfectly you. This is amazing. I keep trying to make sports reference. It's like
You can do it. It's okay.
No, I can't make sports. I don't watch enough sports. But like, it's like Mike Tyson watching you in a street fight and going, "Yo, that punch, the best punch I've ever seen. That punch was all you, dog. That punch was all you."
Yeah.
And then like, even if you lost the fight, you're like, at least Mike Tyson loved my punch better than that punch that laid me out. Right? So anyway, man, no rules. There's no rules in art anymore. None. At least for me.
Yeah.
It's just good to know that I can do work that makes me happy, that makes other people feel happy.
Yes.
Yeah, man. I can't. It's what?
That's awesome. Yeah, just being able to like feel validated by that, by just making people happy. I mean, how much better can that get? Being validated for something that you do that already makes people smile. I mean, that's amazing.
Yeah, man. Like I don't know, man. It's just dope. Like I enjoy. Man, people should smile, right?
Yes.
Giggle or die,
Yeah.
dude. Like, and there's a lot in the world to not smile about.
Mhm.
There's a lot. There's people are allowed their feelings, whatever it is that's frustrating you, whatever it is that you feel is kind of a miser in your everyday life. Yeah, feel that. But there's something, right? There's one thing. There's always one thing, right? And I say this and I'm not making light of it, right? I say this and I'm not making light of it. You're homeless, you're destitute, and you have a child, right? I couldn't imagine a worse scenario. But, and there's like, well, how do I tell that person to smile? Like, who am I to be like, come on, you should be happy. But you love your child enough to keep finding ways to shelter, feed, to make happy.
Yeah.
That's something to smile about, right? There's always something. And it's hard to find sometimes. It's a big dig, but knowing that there's something, and if I have the ability to create something that is that something, man, what I don't need payment. I mean, I'm gladly accept it.
Right.
But like when people are like, "Oh man, that made me laugh," or "Oh man, that made me happy," I give away art to people who appreciate my art.
Yeah.
I do it all the time. I do it at shows. I do it at markets. If somebody comes to me, and I'm not giving away the secret, don't be coming to me telling me like my work. But like when I see a reaction on somebody's face, or a person stops and talks with me, or my work connected them to a memory, that piece is yours. I don't own that piece anymore. Here, I'm not charging you for it. Like,
Wow. Yeah.
like the storm piece. I drew that storm piece, and I was so hyped on it, and nobody has ever acknowledged it.
Oh, that's so sick.
Nobody has ever acknowledged it, and here you are, like, that's the first piece I got, and I loved it, dude. Then that piece is yours.
Nice.
Wow. Yeah.
Like, it's a true connection.
Right.
I feel like everybody connects in different ways, and his artwork is an amazing way to connect because we were talking about Storm. He does like little installations, and he does like short runs of pieces. And Storm's been my favorite comic book character since is her and Gambit, because they're the people that no one talks about. Because Storm is like the African god,
and she's a boss.
Yes. And it's crazy to think about that. And then you got Gambit that everyone forgets about for a while. But I walked into the comic book shop and I saw it and I was like, I want that.
Yeah.
And that's just how it is. Like some of his artwork in general, you'll walk into some place and you're like, oh, I need this amazing field of daisies to put in my house. And I'm like, no, I want that. Like it's Storm. It's an art. It's a character that's connected with me for years, and I want that.
Yeah.
And like, I love that he's like, if that connects to you, that's truly connection to you.
Yeah, that's your piece. That I drew it because like Storm's dope.
Right.
Right. Like, and I'm doing an X-Men run because I just finished, I rewatched all the seasons to the original X-Men cartoon after,
Disney Plus.
After they put it back. Which, by the way, this doesn't need to be a long conversation. I got tricked into watching a mutant soap opera. If you go back and watch that, there's so much romantic drama that goes on. But yeah, man, I only drew that piece because I was watching the cartoon and I was like, oh man, this is a dope cartoon. I want to draw it. Yeah. So somebody comes to me and they're like, yo, Storm is my favorite character. Like, I have a connection. And then what? I don't need to keep it.
Yeah.
Like, for me, that piece was something that I just wanted to draw.
Yeah.
For you, that's a piece that means something. So then that's more your piece than it's my piece here.
That's neat. Yeah.
Making connections. I know you did the installation for Black Lives Do Matter.
I did, in conjunction with other artists. I was just the art director.
Okay. Because what is it? Every letter is a different artist?
Every letter is a different artist.
So if you drive into Wilmington, North Carolina, off the Isabella Homes.
Yes. No.
I forget the names of the bridges.
Holmes. Oh, Isabella Holmes Bridge.
Yes.
I don't know. I don't know the names of the bridges, honestly. I'm like, this one or that one.
For me, it's that one because I don't like the one that goes straight into like downtown because it's always traffic. So I always take the second one. But it's a whole installation, and he put a flare on it with the big fang. So we transitioned. I don't think you could put a butt on it.
That just wasn't. It's like the Barnes and Noble thing. That's just not the place for a butt. No, but no, I did. All these. And again, my work is real simple. My favorite artist in the world is Keith Haring, and his ability to create these like simple images, but they're really bold in color. The lines are expressive, like 22 lines, right? 22 lines. That's. If you just created this entire world for me and simple, like I like to be able to look at a piece and be like, oh, snap, this is great. So we have all these other artists who, oh my God, it was so dope to just see their work because I didn't see their work. They were delivered their letters, and then I didn't see the work until it came back. When I did the application process, everybody had to send me a draft. So I had an idea. Yeah. But an idea is way different when you see the implementation. In my piece, when I write smile or whatever, I always do like an exclamation point instead of an upright I. So my letter was the I in lives. And I just flipped it. It's an exclamation point. And on the bottom, it's my stock smile face with the Pan-African tooth. Because normally it's always a gold tooth. But in this particular piece, I did the Pan-African tooth just because. But yeah, it was a bunch of other artists who, if you haven't seen it, I encourage you to go see it. Even if you don't believe, right? It's not my job to tell anybody anything. I feel like if you don't believe Black Lives Matter, we got more to talk about. But that's your choice. Yeah. Right? That's your choice. But I always encourage people to go and just look at it artistically because there's so many profound pieces in that. It's just impossible to look at some of those pieces and not have an internal conversation. So if you're somebody who already is on the side of equality, it's touching in a different way than like if I'm struggling with understanding the definitions to equality, equity, or I'm just straight ignorant and don't want to, right? Still go sit in front of that piece. Even if you hate it, even if you hate me because I'm Black, go sit in front of that piece. Go sit in front of that piece and have an internal conversation with yourself and then ask, why do you hate people? I imagine that's impossible. If you honestly go to it, see it, sit and have that dialogue with yourself, not with anybody, not going on Facebook to get outside opinions or to get validation for your ignorance. Sit with that piece for yourself. There's no way you cannot at least see the reason why we would do this or why the piece is necessary. You can leave it and you could still not, you could still not subscribe to the adage. That's on you. But there's no way you leave that piece ill-educated. There's no way you leave that piece thinking, oh, these monkeys just want to put their monkey stamp all over this monkey city. You know, like get out of here, man. Get out of here. Like that piece is like, I know the butts. For me, that's just because that piece is me. Yes. Right. That piece is me day to day. The Black Lives Do installation piece means so much to me because as a Black person, not Black man, Black woman, whatever, as being Black, I've hit every stereotype or like anything that could happen to a Black person that you see on TV. I've lost job opportunities. I've been called outside of my name. I've been beaten. I've been in a courtroom and watched like the people who beat me get off and then talk about me like I was a murderer in the court case. I've been through all of that. So in creating that piece, that's why it was so hard for me, right? Number one, I'm not a dude that asks permission. Yeah. Like prior to making that piece, I was already out in the streets putting up art because I wanted to. I had to go through red tape. I had to I had to explain myself. I had to explain why this is important to me. You ultimately get to tell me whether or not my experience is problematic. And that's why you won't get the hell out of here. And then I started getting flack from both sides of the fence. And that tore me apart. I almost backed out of it because the city was like, Black lives do matter. We can't do Black Lives Matter. And I'm not going to get into all of that. Or I'm not going to get into all of that.
That's a different
right. That's a different thing. And that's going to open floodgates. But like, I stand by that. Black lives do matter. That's what we had to put up. What am I going to tell my grandfather? I'm not doing, we had to add due, so I'm not going to do nothing. Like you were like, you've been beat. You've been like, you went through like tragedies I would probably never experience. And all your fighting, all my mom's fighting, all my like ancestors fighting, and I'm gonna sit here and be like, no, I'm not gonna do it. No, what? I got an opportunity to do something and I'm gonna say no? Who the hell am I to think that? So I did the Black Lives Do Matter and I did it proudly. But because of that, I was already getting hate from white people and I expected that. Y'all was gonna do that whether or not this thing was happening.
Somebody's gonna say something.
But then like I started getting clapped at by the Black community. And I get why they would think it was a concession, right? I totally get it. But to hear the people on the same side of the fight that I am tear me down, man, I felt like a race traitor. Like I felt like a whole race traitor. So, I mean, when I tell you I was bugging in the process of me, I was bugging. But then again, ultimately, like, I have a daughter. What I'm going to tell her to not, you don't have the right to not make change if you have an opportunity to. If the opportunity is in front of you, who the hell are you to say, I'm not going to take it? Because 2 steps forward and 1 step back is still 1 step forward. You know what I mean? Like, so I got past all of that and then I did it. And then, man, I got to tell you, I was all tears when they got put up. I was all tears. And then, like, pulled back and just looking at it. And I was like, yo, this was worth all the stress. Yeah. Almost out of the scene of a movie. When we finished it and all the other artists had went home, and me and Jana Robertson, who was my partner in getting all this stuff together, as we were leaving, these three girls from the neighborhood come by and they look at it and they're like, young girls, like, man, maybe the oldest one was 9.
Yeah.
And they were like, oh my God, this is so beautiful. And they started looking at all the pieces and they're like, oh, I'm that one. And I was like, bet, that's why it got done. Yeah. That's why it's important, right? Because they see that. They know it's possible. My daughter sees that. My daughter knows it's possible. So now what can I do? Like, what can I add to the city? And like, yeah, wait, what was the question?
It doesn't even matter what the question was. That was fantastic.
Yeah.
That whole story, this is another kind of figure that is controversial, I guess you could say, to a certain extent, is Daryl Davis. I'm not sure if you've heard of him. He does blues music, but he's been on Joe Rogan a few times. And he's a black gentleman as well. And his claim to fame is he has personally taken, quote unquote, people that have been part of the Klan and have got them to turn over their robes to him and said, I am no longer racist, and said, like, this is amazing. And his journey started with just wanting to sit down. He's like, how can you hate me if you don't even know me? And just starting that conversation and just him being on podcasts, like he gets mail now from Klansmen that send him his robes and say, hey, I heard you on this podcast. I heard you on this Joe Rogan podcast, and handed it over. And same thing, kind of what you were saying, is he gets hate on both sides. But why would you talk to them? Why?
And that's the problem, right? So when we did this installation, the first thought was like, do we include only black artists? Do we make this an only black artist thing? And if I'm a part of this because I'm trying to champion equality, how do I say it can only be black artists? Yeah, I mean, I'm black first. Believe that. Like, no question. I'm black first all the time. I can't think of anything I love more in the world than being black. Cool, I got a daughter. She aight. She cool. She made me happy. No, but like I'm proud of all the struggle. I'm proud of all the success. But if we're talking about equality and I'm working towards equality, then I'm just as bad if I say you can't participate in this. So it does take those conversations. It does take those sit downs. I have to be open. The same way I'm out here fighting for other people to accept me, I'd be a damn fool to then turn around and be like, I'm black, stop. You know, like I need to sit down and talk to somebody who hates me. I need to sit down and talk to somebody I don't understand, because that's where the fix is. The fix ain't me talking to other black people. We get it. We in the same boat, literally. The one we got shipped over here by terrible white people. But in order for there to be significant change, people have to want to lay down their bitterness. You have to want to lay down egos. You have to lay down your political standing, and not like nobody's asking for me to fix you or for you to fix me, but like, yo, let's just sit down and talk. Let's just figure out where each other are at. And if at the end of this, you still don't like me, at least you sat down, had the talk, but that talk is still in your head. Yep. That talk's going to rattle in your head for a long time. Yeah. Right? And sorry, go ahead.
I'm glad this conversation gets brought up too, because my original version of a podcast was going to be called The Conversation, and it was just going to be me and whoever else I found out there. I was going to try to find people that mostly disagreed with me, or at least had an opinion that's big in the world right now. And then I was just going to play devil's advocate, whether I agreed or not with you. Yeah. And right when I was thinking about doing that is when the whole Black Lives Matter thing and all of the protests and whatnot were going on. And there was one girl I saw on Facebook, and I reached out to her and I was like, hey, I want to do this thing called The Conversation and do this. And she goes, no, I don't think I should have to have that conversation. And I was like, okay, that's fair. I was like, but I think it would be powerful for both of us to get together and just kind of talk about where you're coming from and whatnot, and some of the questions that I see come out from the other side, and just talk. And she goes, nope. And I go, oh, okay. I was like, I don't think that's how you, like, there's going to be any change, but I respect your opinion and I understand where you're coming from, but I don't know.
It's just crazy sometimes, because some people are just so close-minded and you don't understand why. And then when you try and open their mind to other options, they get mad about it.
And I wasn't even asking that. I was just asking to hear her side.
Yeah. But, it's everybody wants, and again, we're bringing it right back and stepping away from the gravity of this part of the conversation, right? Because there's always polar sides. What is not, put an ice cream cone in your hand. Think about that. Like, you have an ice cream cone. How mad are you? You ever been mad holding ice cream?
Depends. Is there ice cream on the ice cream cone?
Yes. So there's ice cream on the ice cream cone. But have you ever been racist in the moment while you're eating ice cream? Have you ever been thugged out in the moment you were eating ice cream? Have you ever been wanting to slap somebody in the face in the moment you're eating ice cream? At base level, People want to be happy.
Yeah.
People want to smile. People don't want to hate. People learn to hate. People don't want to be in the street selling dope. People are forced into economic situations where that becomes a reality. People don't want to murder people. People don't know how to regulate emotions. Like, put an ice cream cone in your hand.
Mm-hmm.
You are not that mad. Put an ice cream cone in your hand, and then you become a person who was like, this is good. And have that mentality. Have that mentality when you start feeling the way you feel and like, ice cream. Cool. Right? And I know it's like rose-colored glasses, but that is my interpretation of everything. Everything inside my head is a cartoon or an episode at a Muppet Show. Even when I got beat and I finally came to, I got to wear an eye patch. What?
You got to be a pirate.
Cool. I got beat. That sucked. But dog, I get to wear an eye patch now. The doctor was like, you can probably remove the patch. And I was like, probably? So that means if I choose to. I wore that patch for like a month longer than I needed to. Right? It sucked. But I got to wear an eye patch.
Yeah.
You know, and it's hard to look at things like that. Trust me, because I go through, like, trauma is real. Trauma is real. I go into environments that, like, I was in, or I see people, and I'm like, I never don't think about it. Mm-hmm. Like, I have a scar under my chin that every morning I brush my teeth, I see it, and then I immediately think about it. But then I remember I got to wear an eye patch. I'm holding an ice cream cone right now. Yeah. So yeah, man, like, base level, people want to smile, and I feel like if everybody goes into the day with that attitude, ain't nobody fixing the world's problems in one day. Ain't nobody fixing the world's problem on Facebook. You ain't even fixing the world's problems in like a government building.
Right.
Dude, what's going to fix the problem is like us sitting here talking, eating ice cream. Yeah. And it sounds so stupid, but like on a very base level, things start getting better when people are open to being open.
Yeah.
And I'll stop with my rose-colored glasses.
No, that's fantastic. And we're starting to come up on our time too, which means I have one more question for you. All right. Is if you were to tell your younger self anything, what would it be?
Man, we good. Yo, dead up.
Yeah.
Right? Because people are like, oh, what would I tell myself? Nah, man. I'm out here being successful, drawing butts and teeth.
There you go.
All that trouble you got into for doodling in class, bro, keep doing it. Yeah. All them stupid jokes you were making, dog, keep doing it. Maybe, hey, let's not waste so much money. But also, man, go ahead and buy them shoes. I would just tell myself, man, you good. That's it. You good. Keep it up.
That's amazing. I love that.
Oh, that was great. This was a conversation I wasn't expecting to have, but I was glad we had it.
Yeah, I'm dog, like, right to your point. I feel like I have new friends.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, this wasn't like it ceased being a podcast like after sound check.
Right. Exactly. Yeah, this was fantastic. I had an awesome time doing this, and especially because I hadn't even heard of you before. And so Chris was like, "Hey, like this guy's coming in." I was like, "Oh, okay, awesome." So, all
right, whatever.
But yeah,
okay.
This is cool. I loved it. We'll have to have you back in again sometime.
Man, anytime, dude. This was great. And I got Woodford out of it. What?
Right, yeah. And there's always whiskey, so that always helps.
We'll have to pull something different. So wait, before we end, you said Woodford was good, but what's your number one?
Basil Hayden.
Oh yeah. Huh. Have you heard? I guess there's a new one out called Basil Hayden Toast or Toasted. I heard that like puts Basil Hayden on another level.
Probably. I haven't had that one yet.
I haven't either. I've been searching for it and can't find it.
And like basil, like it's nothing I ever like. So right, there's levels. There's levels to this. Yeah. Like if I'm at a bar, I'm drinking Beam. I'm not. What am I at a bar drinking Basil Hayden? I'm not fancy. No. I ain't wore a shirt with a collar in like 2 years. But that's something that like it's a cordial for me. Like if I'm in the crib and we're just kicking it, and like a tumbler, have it. But Woodford it's just dope. Like like I can have it in both settings. Yeah. And be great. So when I saw it, I was like, oh yeah, man, I don't need to think about that. And I'm open to other things. But I was like, no, Woodford's there.
Easy.
That's an easy decision.
I'm good with it.
Like that Oak and Eden, I don't think I've ever tried that. and I didn't want to be on this show trying it. And then you're like,
I mean,
this isn't for me.
No, that's a good one though. I was surprised.
yeah, that's what we had last time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good stuff.
Woodford all day.
Thanks so much for coming on again, man.
No problem, man. Seriously, thank you guys for even thinking what I do is worthwhile to
Oh, absolutely.
be on a podcast.
Yes.
Anytime. And for everyone listening, we really appreciate you taking time out of your day to come and listen to us. I know you probably got something out of this, and please share it with all your friends and family too. Every download helps.
Oh, at HP FANGS on Instagram.
Yeah.
Or HPFangs.com. But like,
I'm going to say, put all of your plugs in.
yep. At HP FANGS on Instagram, HPFangs.com on .com. Oh, also, and at HP FANGS on TikTok now, because I'm a middle school teacher and I got coerced into doing TikTok, and I love it. I love it now. I love it. I'm a
We're
grown
going to
man.
find you. Chris and I send TikToks to each other daily.
All the time. Do it.
So yeah, find HP Fangs on all the social media plugs. Check out our link tree, like Tyler was saying, and we do have a buy me a coffee because one of us drinks a lot of coffee, the other one drinks a lot of whiskey.
What's up? Buy me a coffee.
I guess it's a website, so you can like donate money, and we take that money and buy either whiskey or coffee.
So if I go to like buy me a coffee, do I like search you specifically?
Yeah.
Or?
Yeah, it's buymeacoffee.com/whiskey, the letter N, wisdom. Thanks for helping us with that plug.
Got it. Well, like, honestly, it wasn't about the plug. But it was more about like me trying to figure it out.
Yeah.
So like,
Right.
buy me a coffee.
What is this?
No,
Yeah.
no, it's just in the link tree. You just click it.
Got it.
Yeah.
I learned that the easy way.
Try to make it easy. Again, we appreciate everyone who is listening. We will see you again next week.
Peace.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Hey, kid. Daddy loves you.
Yep.